All right, good morning, ladies.
Good
Like
morning.
you said, I'm Ed. I run housekeeping and laundry. I have been here 10.5 years. The first 5.5, I ran housekeeping, laundry, and maintenance. So, we got a few things to go over, and then we'll go over all the different codes and stuff. As I go through these, if you have questions, ask. As we go through with these, throughout my career, I have gone through everything I will talk about today except for the very last thing, and God willing, I'll never go through that. So, all right, start off with, let's remember we're dealing with an elder population, generation right above me, because I'm old. You don't believe it, I started working in hospitals in 1973, 52 years ago. So, I don't know what your backgrounds are, I don't know what you've done, where you worked, but remember we're dealing with an immobile population, and they're looking at you to be their savior if one of these incidents happen. The calmer you stay during these situations, the calmer the whole situation will be. If you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, you're not going to instill a whole lot of confidence in the residents you're trying to get to safety. Next thing is, you're going to find out, we used to carry pagers, we now have an overhead paging system. So when one of these incidents happened, it'll come across the overhead paging system for us to act upon at that time. Next thing you're going to notice is there's no thermostats in any of the rooms. Everything is controlled through maintenance's computer. And there's usually 3 rooms hooked to a circuit, and it's a one-pass system. We can have the heat on, we can have the cool on, we can't do both. So you get some little 98-pound lady in H1, you get me in H3, she's always freezing and I'm always sweating my ass off. Let maintenance know, we can try to make adjustments. We also have different ways we've learned through the years to help. We have fans, we have blankets, windows open. For the little 98-pound lady, we've learned like if you close the cubicle, it keeps the room a lot warmer. So there's a lot of things we can do to make both of them as comfortable as possible. So, like I said, as I go through these, ask questions. First off, Incident Command Center. Whenever one of these incidents happen, we have an incident commander. ED, DON, department head, nursing supervision. Incident Command Center is the front office up here. Once they take control, follow their instructions until the incident's done. At that time, the Emergency Preparedness Committee will take statements, compare it to what we said we were going to do. And then, of course, most everything here has to be reported to state. And then state gets to tell us if we were good little boys and girls or bad little boys and girls. So, all right, the threat of severe weather can happen anytime in southwest Michigan. Winter storms are common in this region, may range from a moderate snowfall in a short amount of time to a blizzard lasting several days. Straight line winds, severe thunderstorms and tornadoes can appear with or without warning here. Some storms are regional and may affect several states, while others are more localized lake effect. Common characteristics of winter storms are dangerously low temperatures, strong winds, ice, sleet, freezing rain, and snow accumulation. Policy of Borgess Place to implement this procedure upon notification of a weather watch or warning to keep residents and visitors and staff members safe. Throughout our building here, we have 6 weather band radios. They're AM radio that's tied to the National Weather Service. There's one in each provider office on each garden, one in the Incident Command Center, and one in maintenance. Once it comes across with either a watch or a warning, at that point in time, it'll be paged out. If it's a watch, at that point in time, who's CNAs? Okay. Your job is to go around to all your rooms, make sure the windowsills are cleared and blinds are pulled. If a resident refuses to do that, make a mental note till you get the garden done, then let the nurse know so the nurse can put it in the notes just in case something happens. After that, as long as it stays a watch, everything else proceeds as normal. Med pass, meal pass, therapy, baths, whatever you got going keeps going once you get that done. When it changes from a watch to a warning, at that point in time is when we do the evacuation. I'll show you when we go on the tour, but every garden has what we call a short hall, that with the fire doors closed, the resident room doors closed, it's a windowless hallway to bring people to. Every garden also has 2 spas and a staff bathroom that will hold 2 or 3 wheelchairs, so plenty of places to get people safely away from windows. If a resident is bedridden and can't be gotten out of bed, you get the bed pushed as far away from the window as possible, roll them over facing the wall, and get a blanket for their head and shoulders. Once the all clear is given, at that point in time, then we start getting everybody back, assess any damage to the building, make arrangements accordingly on what happened. And again, the calmer you stay during these situations, the calmer the whole situation is going to be. We don't need to be breaking out a bottle of Valium when all this is done. For winter weather, we have a company that comes out, does all the driveways and sidewalks. Underneath the canopy is heated, so it stays wet sometimes, but it doesn't freeze. We ask if you work evenings and it's snowing that you park out front and come in that way. And then that way about 4 o'clock in the morning, they'll plow the employee lot. We'll come into work, you guys will leave, and then they'll come plow this up front here. We tried to get everybody to park together for that in the employee lot, but everybody kept parking like a checkerboard and the plow can't get through, so. As nursing, please remember with winter weather especially, you're the one department that's 24 hours a day. So either you're coming in to relieve somebody or somebody's coming in to relieve you. And after you just worked 12 hours, the last thing you want to do is have to work another 4. You've lived in Michigan, you know how roads can be, plan accordingly. I live in Battle Creek. Between the medical center and here, I've worked now over here for over 14 years. I have yet to miss a day for weather. There's been a couple days I've been a little later than I wanted to be, but I made it in every day. So you get out on the roads, you try to, you find out they're worse than what you thought, call, let them know I'm on my way, but it's going to take me a few minutes longer than what I thought. Like Gary said, I handle a lot of safety stuff. I want you guys to walk out of here tired every day. I want you guys to walk out of here in the same shape you walked in. And I try very hard to make sure that happens. So, does anybody here remember the blizzard of '78? Probably not. 1978, I was a second shift supervisor at St. Vincent's in Indianapolis. I went to work Wednesday afternoon. I didn't get off until Saturday noon. Wow. We were cleaning a 550-bed hospital with a second shift cleaning crew for 3 days. We got over 60-some inches of snow in less than 36 hours. Wow. Trapped everybody. Basically ran from Texas to Canada and all the way across the East Coast. National Guard was called out to try to get people in, get to emergencies, stuff like that. When I look back on it now, I realize how much everybody pitched together to make it work for that amount of time.
Was that in March? Was that in March by chance?
January.
January. Okay.
January '78.
They said I was born in this blizzard.
In St. Vincent's, Indianapolis?
Well, no, not in Indianapolis, but I was born in '78.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In those snowstorms.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I only live 4 blocks from the hospital. I couldn't even find my car with the drifts to be able to get out. I have 4-wheel drive now. I will get home. So, and we do have a policy to cover that if we get to that later on. Floods can usually be forecast in advance. They come across the National Weather Service. We are not in a floodplain. It would take a rain of biblical proportions for us to get close to even being flooded. In the event that something like that would happen, though, we would use whatever means necessary, Pride, EMS, Life Care, our bus, stuff to get people out of here over to Borgess and Bronson until the waters recede. And then we do whatever we could to get the building back in shape, excuse me, and get everybody back. I kind of joke about it, but when I was hired into the medical center, the person that hired me was Bobby Hopewell. If you're familiar at all with Kalamazoo politics, you know that Bobby was the mayor of Kalamazoo for several years. He was the facilities administrator at Borgess at that time also. He's about my age and he's a lot of fun to hang with. So I could still probably get a couple city buses here if we needed them to get people out of here. Emergency staffing, Borgess Place personnel are not authorized to leave work due to weather conditions or activation of any phase of disaster action without approval from the administrator or incident commander. All employees have an obligation to make every effort to report to work for their scheduled shifts. Employees who fail to report for their scheduled work without the approval of department supervisor will be taken on unauthorized absence. That's why I said communicate, when the weather's bad like that. Now, my department, we're a one-shift operation. So I let my staff know that, if the roads are bad, they get here late, we'll work like 8 to 4, they can't make it till 8:30, they work till 4:30, I don't count the tardy. I don't know how nursing does it, there's their department, I've got enough to worry about without them. But I'm sure they appreciate the fact that you made it, especially if the weather's that bad. Emergency credentialing, unfortunately in today's society, you've got people that'll show up in a disaster going, I'm a doctor or a nurse, can I help? Before we let them touch anybody, the incident commander has an app to verify their credentials, so that way we're just not letting anybody touch our residents or staff members. Staff and family support and critical incident stress management, all personnel are vital during emergency response situations. Borgess Place recognizes its responsibility to provide meals, rest periods, psychological and other personal support to families and staff. And sleeping quarters will be provided for essential staff remaining on duty during an emergency. So just like with the blizzard of 78, my other supervisor and I, we had to arrange sleep times, extra break times, time off. We couldn't leave the hospital, so we had to, set up things. Dietary fed us. Peanut butter and jelly, hamburgers, hot dogs, egg salad, chicken salad. We weren't getting filet mignon and a baked potato. But they kept us taken care of during that time we were there. Code Black. Code Black is a bomb threat. In the event of a Code Black, the person that answers the phone needs to be a multitasker. Because not only do they need to keep that person talking, but they need to flag somebody down to call 911 and then start a search. And by a search, all we are is searching for something sitting somewhere it's not supposed to be. A backpack, a box, a bag.
Anything that looks suspect.
What's that?
Anything that looks suspect.
Yeah. Once you find something like that, you don't touch it, you don't move it, you don't look at it, you just evacuate the area and wait for the bomb squad to get here. Code Orange. Code Orange indicates a chemical, biological, radioactive, nuclear explosion or terrorism plan.
Hold on one second. How do you call the bomb squad?
911.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if there was like a certain number.
No, 911.
Okay.
And tell the operator what you need and they'll
Not
get
that
the,
we'll have one, but.
knock on wood.
Yeah.
1-800-GOT-BOMB.
What's that?
1-800-GOT-BOMB.
Is that the?
B-O-M-B.
Oh, I was gonna say it's really a number.
No.
Oh my God, we're in trouble.
All right, so, we are not a trauma center. We don't have an on-site x-ray, so there's no radiation for you to be exposed to. However, we are about 40 miles as the crow flies from a nuclear reactor, Palisades. And if you watch the news, you know they're getting ready to fire that puppy back up again, either this fall or early next spring. So in the event that something would happen and a radioactive cloud would form, we'd hear it over the National Weather Service. Initial jobs to go around, close windows, close blinds, be ready to go. If we end up being in line, then we'll do a full evacuation. We have things set up to be able to take people to other areas so that we get them here and out of the way. Once the cloud passes, of course, at that time, I'm sure the federal government will come in and inspect the building, make sure it's safe to start bringing people back. As far as a nuclear explosion goes, unless it's on the other side of Chicago or the other side of Detroit, you just might as well tuck it and kiss it goodbye because you're not going to make it out of that one. Those are very powerful and very quick. As far as chemical goes, the worst thing around here would be a bleach spill, which is why we all use bleach wipes and not bleach chemical. After that, the worst thing you're going to smell is when dietary's cooking Brussels sprouts. So. Generators, we have 2 of them. We have one for the main building, we have one for the cottages. One of the things they did was buy a very good generator for this building. 2 years ago in the spring, when we had a lot of the storms and stuff, we ended up being on generator for 18 hours. And everything continued to run. If you can see behind over on that wall, you'll see like a normal colored plug-in like you have at home. If you look behind me up here, you'll see the red plug-in. All the red plug-ins are tied to the generator.
Oh, okay.
Every resident room has a minimum of 4 red plug-ins. So their bed, concentrator, CPAP, IV can all stay plugged in and all stay working, even during a power outage. You may have to explain to them that they can't have their cell phone plugged into a red plug-in while we're on power outage, but they'll get over it. Everything's hooked up. Fire alarms, nursing call, the Wonder Guard, night lights, lights around provider offices, hallway lighting, exit signs, heating and air conditioning, main kitchen, and some of the laundry equipment are all hooked up to the generator. Both generators are tested monthly by maintenance. And like I said, the one back here is very good. When I was doing them, we were lucky if we could pull a 30% load, which means that generator is probably big enough it could probably handle Dillon Hall and the Brain and Spine along with this building. So we've got plenty of power if we lose electricity. We do have remote monitoring panels. We have 3 of them, one in the Enchanted provider office, one in each cottage. It's basically a panel like this. It sits on the wall with a bunch of red lights and a green light. If you're ever working one of those places and you happen to see a red light, call maintenance right away to get Cummins Bridgeway out here to get the generator fixed. Generators also auto fire on Mondays. This one back here at 10 o'clock, that one at 1:30. Basically, they just auto fire, run for about 40 minutes just to heat up, and then shut back down. It's the policy of Borgess Place to maintain a safe environment for all residents. In the event of an elopement, policies and procedures will be implemented immediately to locate the resident in a timely manner. All residents will be evaluated for behaviors or conditions that put them at risk for elopement. At-risk residents will have the identified issues addressed in an individualized plan of care. The risk for elopement is minimized through the use of the Wonder Guard system, door alarms, visual staff supervision, staff's education, and other behavioral interventions as needed. A missing resident or elopement is defined as a resident who is not accounted for and may have left the building or the facility grounds without being signed out. Wandering is defined as aimless travel within the facility and enclosed courtyard areas. The butterfly notebook is kept at the front desk with pictures of residents that are known high risk for elopement from the facility. So, resident comes in, they're given a full evaluation. If it's determined that they're a potential elopement risk, they're given a Wonder Guard. Wonder Guard is just a small little square that you either put on their ankle or their walker or their wheelchair, depending upon their mobility. And if when we go on the tour, if you look up here at the front doors, you'll see 2 long white bars on either side. That's the Wonder Guard system. When they get close enough, it sets off the alarm and shuts the doors. Now, in the event that somehow they would manage to get in between the double doors, do not reset the alarm. If you reset the alarm, it opens the doors and the front door opens first. Not that there's any resident that would be faster than you, but that's all cement out there, and they're already trying to get out. The last thing you want them to do is plant on that cement. Inner doors take a simple palm push, and you can pop them off track, pop them open, get the resident back in, reset the alarm at that point in time, and then we'll get the doors back on track and working. Safer for the resident, safer for you. Wandering, we don't have, most of the people that wander around, or when I say wander around the building, know what they're doing. We don't have a locked dementia unit. So a lot of people like to go out front and sit on warm days like today. And they've got friends on other gardens that they'll move around to and go from there. We don't, like I said, usually have wanderers that just go. Butterfly book, if they're given a Wonder Guard, their picture's taken and it's put in the butterfly book. That way, when we do have an elopement, The incident commander can run off pictures, so you've got a better idea who you're looking for. So, you're doing your rounds, you go to H3, you can't find Mr. Smith. Doesn't matter whether you're CNA or nurse, if you can't find him, page it out. When you page it out, give us as good a description as possible. Mr. Smith, H3, 300 pounds, wheelchair bound, bald, glasses, mustache. At least it gives everybody an idea who they're looking for to start. At that time, you start a search of the building. You'll see when we go on the tour, but our rooms are not set up to where you can actually do a walk down the hallway and look. You have to go in the rooms and look. Our bathrooms are unobservable, there's corners. You have to go in and check the rooms out. Once you get that done, your garden searched, and the nurse calls up to the incident commander, lets them know heirloom garden searched, 19 residents accounted for. That tells the incident commander two things. Number one, you haven't found Mr. Smith. Number two, Mr. Smith didn't grab Mr. Jones across the hall. They're now not down at Main Street Pub having a brew watching Monday Night Football. We are a major bus route between Gull Road and Nazareth. Buses pass in and out every hour all day long. Somebody get that right cognitive moment, they could be at Walmart shopping before we even know they were gone. So, once you're done with the search, there's usually a CNA and two nurses, or a nurse and two CNAs per garden. Nurse picks one of the CNAs to come up front. Once people start coming up front, then you're paired up and sent outside for a search. Once we find Mr. Smith, at that point in time, we bring him back in, give him a full first aid evaluation, and then we try to figure out how he got out. What did we miss? Like I said, we have to report things to state. Since I have been here, we've had 2 elopements. One cost us, the other one the state laughed at as much as we did. We had a gentleman over on Heirloom who liked to go down. At the end of each garden is a fire door. 15-second alarm bar, he hold it in, the alarm goes off, the door opens. He'd wheel down, hit that bar, they'd go down and get him, turn the alarm off, reset the door. One afternoon he did that, they turned the alarm off, forgot to reset it. 2 o'clock in the morning, he wheeled past 2 CNAs and a nurse, who evidently were waiting on the alarm to go off, which never did. They got busy doing other things. 2 hours later, they found him outside in front of the building. No harm, no foul, October, nice night, but the state frowned upon that very heavily. We received an IJ. An IJ, if you're not familiar, is imminent jeopardy, which means you have 14 days to satisfy state with your plan of correction, or they can shut you down and no admits during that time. We got them satisfied, a lot of training, a lot of signage, a couple write-ups, but we got them satisfied. We also went from a 5-star to a 2-star. And this has been about 8 years ago, so we've bounced back since. But the other one we had was, we had a lady out here in Spiritual Cottage. I knew the lady, she worked IT at the hospital. One of those that was so smart, she didn't have the common sense God gave a goose. But she was also a smoker. Ran out of cigarettes, followed a family member out the door. We found her over on Nazareth, headed to Speedway to buy her a pack of smokes. Fully cognizant, knew what she was doing, whether she followed a family member out or watched us hit the program. There was nothing we could have done to prevent her from doing that. State laughed at it as much as we did. So. Usually you wait probably about 10-15 minutes. If you haven't found them, then you make sure you call the ED, the DON, let them know what you've got going on. And then they'll instruct you then how much longer you need to wait before you call authorities. The reason being is because there's so many wonderful people out there that have police band radios, that love to call the news stations, that the last thing you need at 3 o'clock in the morning is Channel 3, Channel 4, and Channel 8 to show up in the Circle Drive. Last thing I need at 5:30 when I get up for my coffee and watch the news is for us to be the headline for that morning. So. All right, it's the intentions of Borgess Place to establish and maintain a safe and efficient system for responding to fire or threat of fire. Policy of Borgess Place to adhere to federal, state, and local fire codes and regulations regarding visitors, residents, staff, and building safety. Borgess Place will provide all staff members with initial training of the facility fire plan. Fire is considered visible smoke or visible flame. Code red is the key phrase for fire. A smoke compartment is a space within a building enclosed by smoke barriers on all sides, including top and bottom. And fire evacuation routes are located in the walls of the garden cottage hallways. This building here has 3 different smoke compartments. Once the fire doors are closed, you have the center hallway that goes down. You have 3 cross hallways. Each cross hallway on each side has a fire smoke door. So once the alarm goes off, they're magnetized, they close. Heirloom and flower becomes a smoke compartment. The whole center of the building becomes a smoke compartment. Tea and enchanted becomes a smoke compartment. So depending upon the type of fire or where the fire is, we don't always have to evacuate outside to get residents to safety. Bring them in here, over to tea, whatever's going on. Up to the incident commander based on where the fire is and what type of fire it is. Fire panels, we have 2 of them. We have one between the double doors. We have one back by the employee entrance. I tried during my time, I know my successors have tried, to integrate the fire system into the paging system. We were never able to do it because of different companies. So when the fire alarm goes off, usually the charge nurse or one of the department heads will go to the fire panel. The fire panel will tell you where the fire is, and at that point in time, they'll page it out. You guys' job when the fire alarm goes off is to go around and shut all your resident room doors. Resident room doors are supposed to be rated 45 minutes by state. Ours are rated at 90. I had to replace one here several years ago. It cost me $3,200 to replace one resident room door. So, and this will come in handy in another policy down the road. So once you know where that's at, follow the incident commander, and we'll do the evacuation accordingly. Who can tell me what RACE stands for?
Race?
RACE.
Rescue,
Contain.
and
Evacuate.
Evacuate or extinguish. Rescue the person first, alert, do what you can to contain. If not, evacuate, extinguish or evacuate. Fire blankets and evacuation slings, we have them on each garden. I'll show you where they're located. Fire blankets, a fireproof blanket that I can grab, and if you're on fire, I can wrap it around you and smother the fire. Evacuation slings are a large floor sling, so if you've got somebody my size bedridden, you can take that sling and unfold it on the floor, lower the bed to its lower level, get me out onto the sling and pull me out across the floor. So, fire alarm goes off, you shut the doors, they page it out where it's at, you get your instructions. Different groups will do different things. Laundry will like help close doors, turn off the dryers and washers, turn off the gas to the dryers. Dietary will do the same thing. Maintenance and department heads usually respond to the fire first. We've always had kind of a 4 fire extinguisher rule to where if we can't get it out with 4 fire extinguishers, we do definitely get the evacuation going and wait for the pros to get here. Who can tell me what PASS stands for?
Pull, aim, squeeze, sweep.
Yep. Fire extinguishers have a pin with a very light zip tie. Pop that pin out, bring the nozzle up, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the handle, and sweep back and forth. Always aim at the base. It doesn't do any good to stand there and do this. You're not going to put the fire out. So, another little trivia tidbit just for you, a CO2 fire extinguisher will cool off a 12-pack of beer very quickly. I've had fun in my time, okay? And there's no social media
At all.
to verify anything, so. When the fire panel dysfunctions, at that point in time, we set up a fire watch. Evenings or weekends, they'll ask you guys to do extra rounds through your garden just to make sure. During the day, during the week, myself or Jim from maintenance, somebody will go around and do tours just until we get the fire panel up. If there's a false alarm, of course, we'll call 911 right away and let them know it was a false alarm. We use another company, Riverside. They do some of the backflow, plus when the alarm goes off here, it goes off at Riverside, and they call 911 also, so that way we've got a backup to make sure that that 911 call gets through. After that, then Riverside will call Craig from maintenance, Jim from maintenance, myself, Susan the ED, and Andrea the DON. Just to let us know in case we're not on the premises that we do have a fire alarm going off. Once the all clear is given, of course, at that point in time, we'll get everybody back to their rooms. If there was any damage, we'll assess it, make any room moves accordingly. I've talked about other departments. My housekeepers will help you guys shut doors initially and then start helping with the evacuation. Some fire prevention features: the tile and carpeting are fire resistant, automatic fire and smoke detection system and sprinkling system, portable fire extinguishers located in strategic positions, lighted exit signs. Resident windows can be used as exits in an emergency. We are a cement slab building. All we have for locks on our windows are just your normal window locks. So if you go into a room to evacuate somebody and you get trapped, all you gotta do is go over, open the window, kick out the screen, take the resident and you and go out that way. Kitchen range hood exhaust systems, hallways are kept clear of obstructions, fire retardant spray for decorations. Smoking and controlled smoking materials are prohibited. There's no smoking at all allowed on the Borgess Place campus. If you do smoke, there's a parking lot down that way by the pine trees, and there's another one down the other way by the pine trees that you can go to smoke. I smoke, my last bad habit, but I enforce the policy very stringently, which means if I walk out to go to my car and I see a puff come out yours, I'm probably gonna come over and knock on your window. So, for those of you that don't drive, we do allow you in the back parking lot to step off the pavement into the woods, and you can have your cigarette there. Just make sure you step off the pavement into the woods. Decorating, we do have spray for certain decorations, but we also allow the residents to have up to a 3-foot artificial tree in their rooms for Christmas time. Has to be plugged into the wall. We do not allow any kind of heat producing device in the building, so any type of space heaters, electric blankets, heating pads, candle warmers, air freshener plug-ins, anything like that. No extension cords, no power strips, no surge suppressors. They will allow a surge suppressor if a resident has a desktop computer, but only the computer and monitor can be plugged into the surge suppressor, nothing else, and the surge suppressor has to be plugged into the wall. Now, usually it's my housekeepers that will find these. If they find them, they'll let me know. What I will do, will come to you guys as nurses, let you know H1 has an extension cord, and for you to tell the family they have to get it out. On my to-do list for tomorrow, I will have H1 listed as on my first tour. If I go in tomorrow morning and it's still there, then I will confiscate it, let you know that I've got it, and the family has to come see me to get it back and get a safety lesson. So, Villa, of course, took over in September. We were Ascension before being Catholic. December was always a big month. It was still a big month here. Debbie Purcell, who's our activities director, is just a phenomenal lady. We usually have 3 parties in December. We have the employee party, where off-site, where you go have dinner and stuff. Then we have the resident and family Christmas party where family members come in. You'll see on the tour each garden has a bistro. Management stays over to help serve and take care of residents. And we have different foods and stuff. Debbie hires minstrels to go around, excuse me, and play Christmas carols. And Debbie and I dress up as Mr. and Mrs. Claus to go around and greet everybody. The third party, we just finally had this last Christmas, which is the family and kids Christmas party, where Debbie and I dress up again. You can bring your kids in. We do the night before Christmas, hot chocolate cookies. And the kids can sit on my lap, get their pictures taken, a whole lot cheaper than the mall. So, you know, we held off on that. We let the other 2 kind of come back in. We held off on that one because once, especially the kids were back in school, and kids are such wonderful little petri dishes that we just didn't want to expose the residents to that. So this last year we did it. Last time we'd had it was 19, right before COVID hit. And I actually had 3 sisters come over and sit on my lap and tell me what they wanted for Christmas. So, fire drills, maintenance does fire drills every month, rotate them first, second, third shift. Nice thing was, several years ago, state decided after like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, we could do a silent alarm. When you were carrying pagers, that was easy, but now with the overhead paging system, it's still a lot quieter to use the overhead paging system than it is to pull the fire alarm. So they'll use the overhead paging system if they come in at 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Lockout, tagout, for you guys doesn't mean a whole lot. Myself, I did 17 years in healthcare and did a detour and did 20 years at Denso Manufacturing. And now back 14 years in healthcare. So at Denso, we had equipment. I worked on a furnace that was about as big as this building and about as long. And we had to clean it every other month. And it was a pure nitrogen, 400 to 600 Celsius. So we had to lock it out before we could climb into it. And so a lock would go, power it down, a lock would go on. Everybody that went in had their own lock they put on. Only I have a key to mine, only you have a key to yours, only you have a key to yours. That way, once we come out, nobody can fire it up until everybody takes their locks off. What we ask for you guys is that if you've got something that's not working, give it maintenance as much information as possible on it. So like say if you have a vitals machine that every third time you do a blood pressure it whacks out, put that information on there. Otherwise, if you just push it back to maintenance, we're gonna test the pulse ox, we're gonna take our temp, do the blood pressure, it works, we're gonna push it back on the floor. You're gonna grab it, third time you do a blood pressure, it's gonna whack out, you're gonna get all pissed. Well, we can't fix it if we don't know what's wrong. So make sure you let us know what's going on.
Do you guys
Okay.
use the TEL system for that?
Yep, we have the TEL system to use. So, any questions? All right, last but not least, like I said, I've been through everything I've talked about. I've been through floods, I've been through bomb threats. It seemed like the 2 bomb threats I've been through in my time, they did it in the middle of winter at 10 degrees. But I've dealt with hazardous chemicals at Denso where you had to wear the full hazmat suit, floods, snowstorms, rain, the whole shot. The one thing I've never been through, and God willing, I'll never go through it, and that's a code silver. A code silver is an active shooter. If a person walks in with a holstered weapon, you are to ask them to take it back out and lock it up in their car and provide their CCW. If they don't have a CCW, you still get to call 911 because open carry people should know better. We have signs posted. If you are uncomfortable doing that, come get me. Not that I'm any braver than you are, but I have carried for 40 some years, and I have carried back when I worked in hospitals, when I could carry to work. I've worked in Indianapolis, Chicago, Detroit, worked a lot of second shifts where you get off at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, half-mile walk to your car to the parking garage. I carry a 32 with hollow points.
Okay,
I have never had to pull it. Knock on wood.
there you go.
So, now, if you look out the window and you see somebody walking out to Circle Drive, they got an AR-15 in one hand and a 45 in the other, you're gonna call the code silver. Once a code silver is called, this is the only policy where your safety comes first. You do not worry about the residents.
You run.
3 things that you can do. The first thing's run.
Yeah.
Get away. Go through a room and out a window. Set off the fire alarm at the end of the hallway. Get out of the building.
Yeah.
When you get out, remember hands up, fingers spread, so when the police arrive, they know you're not the shooter. If you can't run, hide. I already talked a little bit about the fire doors on each resident room. Each resident room has an armoire. And my girls have to pull these armoires out and clean behind them when we do discharge cleanings. You got your adrenaline pumping for the code silver, it'd be real easy to shut that door, push that armoire in front of it.
Yeah.
So unless it's Rambo with a 50 cal, that AR-15 ain't getting through that.
Where's that at? What'd you say? Where's
The
that at?
resident rooms.
Oh,
In the
really?
resident rooms.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Shut the door, there's an armoire. Every resident room has an armoire. Like I said, we have to pull them out and clean behind them when we do discharges. Your adrenaline pumping, it's not gonna be hard to push it right in front of that door. So, So you can't run, you can't hide, fight. And by fight, this is a fight for your life. Bite, kick, scratch, claw, headbutt, elbow, knee, throw things. Do whatever you've got to do at that point in time to survive. I'd like to think, because I've been through so much other stuff, if somebody walked in, I'd throw the notebook and be on top of them. Not having ever gone through it, I may be across the table out the window before you guys realize I'm gone. You never know until you actually experience it,
Right,
what
what's
it's
gonna
like.
go on, what you can keep
So-
out.
Remember too, if you're shot, you're taking care of her. When the police arrive, they're not here to help. All they're gonna do is verify you two aren't the shooter, and they're moving on. If the police are here, EMS isn't that far behind. Somebody will be here shortly. So, one last little tidbit, and we'll take off for a walk. Several years ago, I had to have this garage built out back. Kalamazoo city limits are down at Borgess Medical Center, 2 miles down the road. So I'm calling Kalamazoo County. Nobody knows, nobody knows, nobody knows. Finally did get a hold of a guy that knew. When the Archdiocese bought all the property and they started building on it, from where you turn in up here at Dairy Queen and follow the road down, that empty lot, the tennis courts, the Brain and Spine, and us, until you get past Woodland Cottage, they rezoned all this Kalamazoo City. So right now, you're sitting in the city of Kalamazoo. The minute you pull out, you're back in the county. So thank God Kalamazoo doesn't have a city tax. It never dawned on me that first couple of years I was here that whenever we had an emergency, KPS showed up. But when anything happened at Dillon Hall or at Fontbonne or Nazareth, when it still existed, the sheriff's department showed up. Now, once I did that, I figured out why. So, guys ready to take a walk?
Yes, I'll
Yeah.
take the microphone.
Were you gonna forget it?